to put my hands anymore. I like holding a microphone. This feels natural. This feels really natural for me. Okay, let's just get into this. Hi, everybody. It is me. I'm still alive. I'm still a person. I'm still around. I won't die. Just like AW won't die. Just like Vince McMahon won't die. Just like other people in the world won't die. I don't want the FBI coming to my house. Also, these are all my own opinions, so literally fuck off if you have any problems with them. Or comment. Leave a reply. I don't care what you do. Let's go back down memory lane. Many moons ago. Goddamn, how many moons ago was it? It was a long ass time ago that I started watching wrestling, and I had a lot of opinions on it. And as all of you saw along my journey, I was getting pretty well known for it. And I went towards that direction because at the time I thought, well, if I'm being embraced by this community, then I should run into the community's arms, the open arms for me. But unfortunately, those community arms, they closed very quickly, or maybe they suffocated me. They more so strangled my neck. So, let's discuss the big break, as everybody likes to say. It was, unfortunately, Tony Khan responding to me on Twitter of all places. I was a villain. I was a villain to the community, and I still am. Some might say I'm the best villain, the biggest villain that you guys have ever had. I think it's mostly because I'm a woman. Unfortunately, the wrestling community doesn't really embrace the female voice unless the female voice is just loving absolutely every aspect of wrestling. And that is just not me, and that's just not reality. I think a lot of women probably feel the same way, or they're not watching. That's actually more likely what's happening, is they're just not even engaging. They're not watching. They don't exist. If you've ever seen the crowds in wrestling today, they're quite literally all men. It's actually insane, and so much so that I'm willing to bet that the companies are paying influencers to go to the shows, specifically female influencers, paying them to go to the shows, look cute, be in the front row. Because it never fails, somehow they find a slightly attractive woman in the crowd, and you're just like, who the hell is this? Why is she here? Because she doesn't fit in with anybody else that's here. That is just the facts. That is the facts. It's actually bizarre. Because if you look back in the day in the prime of wrestling... Sorry, my dog is currently licking herself, and it's a little distracting. Can we quiet down over there? Anyways, if you look back in wrestling's prime, the audience did not used to be so singular. It was, grandmas, grandpas, children, lots of women. Women loved the wrestlers, and I just don't see that anymore. This kind of got on a tangent, and not at all what the point in this was. My point was my big break, and it didn't go as, I don't think anybody could have seen the future as it going. That wasn't a complete sentence. That was gibberish. It didn't go as planned. There was no plan, quite literally. I had concepts of a plan, but there was no plan. And during that big break, it opened my eyes completely to the seedy underbelly of what the true nature of wrestling is. People during that time, and just throughout my entire, whatever you want to call it, career, people just would make stuff up, complete lies. Like, I specifically remember a group of men saying that I was asking for money. That never happened. And they were like asking on my behalf for their fans to donate money to pay for lawyer fees against Tony Khan, which that was just never even a thing. I did not ever once get sued by Tony Khan. I never got even threatened, besides his little Twitter tangent. And they just assumed, I guess, that Tony Khan was going to come after me and that I was going to have to pay for a lawyer. That just never happened. Total lie. A whole group of people, like, who had a way bigger following than I did, they just came up with that and ran with it and never once even, like, ran it by me like, hey, is this happening? No, and I never said it was happening. It was crazy. So people would just straight up make things up. That was just one instance of millions and bajillions of lies and people assuming things or just like making up stuff about my life, which was crazy. Like people would constantly threaten to call my employer, which was hilarious because I have not had an employer for a very long time. So I don't know who they were getting in contact with. I never heard anything of it. So that was happening. It was just a lot. It was a lot of lying and making things up. That was another thing is there were groups of people like that I guess would try to offer help to me that were like in the business. Like podcasters and some wrestlers and just other people that were higher up in the business that acted like they wanted to give me a helping hand, and it never felt right. It always felt a little gross. You know, like being offered to fly out places, weird stuff. Like, I'm glad I never took any of those offers because I just feel like weird stuff would have went down. As a woman, I think if you're ever offered a free plane ride, it's never gonna be free. Never gonna really be free. So I'm glad I never took the offers for help, but they were offered many times and it always felt weird. Now, let's get on to the next topic, which is how pathetic and cult-minded the community is. Like, CM Punk's theme song, he ain't joking. The cult of personality, it's just a cult. If it quacked like a duck, it looked like a duck, it a duck. Y'all are ducks. Cause the reason why I even like had any sort of what do you call it? Internet virality. Is that a word? That sounds pretty intelligent. Internet virality. Because I had any at all is simply because I criticized a single bit of wrestling. And I think so many people think as many people would respond to my opinions as like, oh, as long as the guys are having fun, that's all we care about. Like, I'm sorry, if I pay Beyonce $500 to go to her concert and her concert is shite, I am not gonna be like, well, I'm just glad baby girl was up there having a good time. No, this is their job. Their job is to entertain people and do a good job at it. And it is absolutely okay, guys, to criticize things. It's okay to criticize movies. It's okay to criticize people. Criticism is the only thing that grows people. Like, if somebody's doing a shit job at something and you're constantly just like, well, we just like you as a person, and as long as you're having a good time, that's all that matters, then they are never going to be able to grow and change and evolve and get better. And I see that happening a lot in the wrestling community. What I'm noticing the most with the wrestling community is how soulless it has gotten. If you want to talk about having fun, I think that the guys back in the day, when they were doing all the drugs and stuff, I think that's what, guys just having fun was. I think guys aren't really having as much fun as they could nowadays. And I'm not saying I need all the guys to be on drugs again, but let's not act like them going out there and not giving a shit what their performance looks like is having fun. That's just them being lazy. I mean, as you see the AEW roster, I can even say that about people within the WWE roster. It's just like a lot of these guys aren't trying. They just decided Tony Khan's going to pay me just to hang around and I'm going to take that. They didn't like WWE, and I mean, for a good reason. Like, a lot of people shouldn't like WWE. But at the end of the day, you can see where CM Punk went from AEW to WWE. That man looks, I would say, at least 10 years younger. Now that he is probably on some sort of growth hormone for his muscular bod. He no longer looks doughy. He got his teeth fixed. He looks a lot, sorry. I just made that up in my mind. I'm just gonna say he looks more alive nowadays than he used to being on AEW. So maybe it's okay to have an employer that expects some sort of standard from you. That's okay. That doesn't mean they're evil, even though they are evil. They're all evil. Okay, and now we need to talk about how creepy the community is. From all my time being out here in the trenches, I have had kidnapping threats. I've never been kidnapped, but because I protect myself.
I pull out the Glock, put it on his forehead, and spill his brains all over the concrete.
I'm just kidding. I don't have any sort of protection. But I don't put myself in stupid scenarios to where something bad could happen, and I take those threats seriously, as I should. I've had people threaten to kidnap me, I've had people threaten to kill me, I've had people threaten to show up to my house, so it got to the point where I was no longer even able to, like, go to shows and enjoy them, because I was so afraid. I'm like, I mean, I don't even have that big of a following, but I don't know how many people out here know what I look like. And now I'm quite literally, like, afraid to be even seen in public, especially at wrestling shows. That was really unfortunate. The people that were supporting me, creepy. I'm not naming names, but people were just fucking creeps. Just a bunch of creeps. And it does make me wonder, now that I'm out of it, on the outside of it, it makes me really wonder for the people who end up making it in the wrestling business, what they have to endure to get to where they're at, unless they have, like, a parent that's in the wrestling business, because it has to be awful. I think a lot of the women in wrestling probably experience a bunch of creeps that, you know, they have to, like, always make themselves seem slightly available in order to get higher up, especially if they're not in a secure spot. So I saw very early on that that is what the wrestling community was, and it just left a not so great taste in my mouth. Maybe that's a poor choice of words. It wasn't that kind of taste in my mouth. It was a good reason to leave. There was no future, as you guys can all see with wrestling in general right now. The future's weird. I think it's almost been fully admitted that they're like, we are gonna do anything in our power to make the cheapest shows possible. We're putting everything out there as cheaply as possible. We're not putting in effort or work into it anymore. We just wanna have something cheap. And we're gonna wait until people start to complain and not show up for tickets, and then we'll think about, like, putting in effort again. I don't know, just fully admitting that is, like, wild and not something that I would ever say about, like, a business I was running. Like, the audacity, but that's capitalism, and wrestling is capitalism. Like, it's a perfect example of it. I still think it could be saved if they would just bring back some of the goddamn reality shows. Like, kayfabe is so dead, and anytime I get a glimpse of it, I'm like, oh, this is so good, and it's just rare that we ever get those glimpses anymore. Like, I mean, God, Nikki Bella right now, imagine if we had Total Divas, or, okay, sorry, I can't say Divas. Imagine if we had Total Bellas. I would love to just know, I want to be a fly on the wall, what happened between her and Artem. What the hell happened to John Cena's career in the last year, because that was a big old fart. It was a big old fart. And I'll have a whole video about that. Which brings me to the last point. Will I be back? Will I come back? I don't know. I was discussing this, and I just don't have enough to say, I feel like, anymore on anything. Like, movies. I like watching movies. I watch movies, like, religiously. It's a weekly occurrence. But I just don't enjoy sitting there and dissecting them. It actually does get old. Just as much as it probably got old for you guys watching. Like, it does get old and tiring when you're like, God, I watched a movie, now I have to turn around and review it instead of just being able to enjoy something. It's the same thing with wrestling. I didn't like the feeling of, like, this is my job. Anytime you make something your job, it becomes soulless, and it becomes a task, and that's what happened with wrestling with me. It just got to a point where it was a task, and I wasn't able to just like sit there and consume it and enjoy it. I had to always think about things to say and things I wanted to say, and then it was forceful. And anytime you're forcing something, it's just not going to be your best work, and it's not going to be fun, and people are going to see that, and I'm sure everybody noticed that. So now I'm back. I just honestly, guys, I thought it would just be hilarious because it's been so long. I'm like, what? Somebody 4 months ago apparently put out a GOC video. I can't believe people still remember me. Like, I just don't think of it as a time in my life that is like such a big deal, but I think it is a big deal. I think the fact that people still talk about me and that I'm still around, it means something. It means something to somebody, to some people. And I think, I'll be honest, I think I'm a very underappreciated part in the wrestling community that needs to be more embraced, because I am a female voice that nobody really took seriously. So much so to the point where people would be like, her husband is feeding her lines. And it's just like, I mean, that man literally disagreed with like 90% of the things that I had to say. So yeah, it's that thought process is just a perfect example of why the wrestling community does need to embrace women more often. Is that I think I could have been an interesting talking head on anybody's TV. Anybody can make it on TV. So, I don't know how many of these videos I'm gonna make, but I just have seen a few things lately that I've been like, I think I want to speak up again. I think I want to have an opinion again. I don't know if I'm gonna do a whole lot with this, but this is what it is. So, I'm not doing the shrimp wiener thing anymore. We're not doing that. That's dead. Lots of things are dead. Bye. Peace out, wrestling community, all of us that are left. It's like an apocalypse at this point, wrestling apocalypse. Who will survive?